On February 24th, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, shocking the world. This marked the beginning of a major conflict with global consequences, affecting millions. The invasion followed months of military build-up, with tensions escalating. Tensions were high between the two countries, with protests erupting across Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin's goal was a swift victory, aiming for a quick takeover. He aimed to overthrow the Ukrainian government and install a pro-Russian regime. The invasion was met with strong resistance from both military and civilians. Ukrainian forces and citizens took up arms, defending their homeland fiercely. Their courage, combined with Western military aid, significantly slowed Russia's advance. Putin's plan for a quick victory failed, facing unexpected resistance. Kyiv, the capital, and other major cities were targeted, causing widespread destruction. Ukrainian troops inflicted heavy losses on the invading forces, showcasing their resilience. The Ukrainian government, led by President Volodymyr Zelensky, stood defiant and united. The world watched in shock as the largest military conflict in Europe since World War II unfolded, rallying in support of Ukraine. Ukraine's armed forces were outnumbered and outgunned, facing a formidable adversary. Despite this overwhelming disadvantage, they mounted a staunch and determined defense. Ordinary Ukrainians joined the fight with unwavering resolve. They made Molotov cocktails. They assisted in defending their cities and towns, standing shoulder to shoulder with the soldiers. President Zelensky rallied his people and the world with his impassioned speeches and steadfast leadership. The Ukrainian military used effective and innovative tactics to counter the enemy. They were aided by Western weapons and intelligence, which proved crucial in their defense. They slowed down the Russian advance and inflicted heavy losses on the invading forces. Russian supply lines were targeted relentlessly, disrupting their logistics. Anti-tank weapons were used effectively, destroying numerous enemy tanks. Ukrainian forces used their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, outmaneuvering the enemy. Images of destroyed Russian military equipment became a powerful symbol of Ukrainian resistance. The world was surprised by the resilience and bravery of the Ukrainian people. Civilian mobilization was widespread. There was defiance in Russian-occupied areas, with acts of resistance and protest. President Zelensky became a symbol of courage and determination, visiting troops on the front lines. The determination of the Ukrainian people became a key factor in the conflict, showcasing their unity. Their indomitable spirit, combined with strategic military support, prevented a swift Russian victory. This set the stage for a protracted and bloody conflict with no end in sight. The initial phase of the war saw Russia attacking on multiple fronts with a massive show of force. They aimed for Kyiv, the southern port city of Kherson, and the eastern Donbas region, hoping for a swift victory. However, fierce resistance from Ukrainian forces and logistical problems forced a change in strategy. The battle lines shifted as the conflict evolved. Both sides experienced victories and setbacks, with neither able to maintain a consistent upper hand. In late March 2022, Russia withdrew from areas around Kyiv, signaling a significant strategic retreat. This came after weeks of heavy fighting and substantial losses on both sides. The withdrawal marked a turning point, boosting Ukrainian morale and determination. Russia then shifted its focus to the Donbas region, a key area of strategic importance. Russia had been supporting separatist groups there since 2014, making it a long-standing conflict zone. The fight for Donbas became a war of attrition, with both sides digging in for a prolonged struggle. Both sides were heavily entrenched, making advances slow and costly. Intense artillery duels were common, with both sides trying to wear down the other. Russian forces captured Kherson early in the war, establishing a stronghold in the south. Ukrainian counteroffensives in late 2022 liberated the city, a major victory for Ukraine. They pushed Russian troops back across the Dnipro River, reclaiming significant territory. The southern front saw significant naval warfare, adding another dimension to the conflict. The Russian Black Sea flagship Moskva was sunk, a dramatic and symbolic loss. This was a significant blow to Russian morale, affecting their naval operations. The war in Ukraine was dynamic. Battle lines shifted frequently. New fronts emerged as the conflict continued. Both sides adapted their strategies, constantly evolving to meet new challenges. The conflict's unpredictable nature kept the world on edge, with global reactions and strategies continuously evolving. Evidence of atrocities emerged from Russian-occupied areas. Mass graves were discovered, killings of unarmed civilians were documented. Bucha became a symbol of these atrocities. There was global shock and condemnation. The International Criminal Court opened an investigation. They were looking into alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. The United Nations established a commission of inquiry. They focused on human rights violations. Many countries launched their own investigations. Evidence pointed to systematic abuses, extrajudicial killings, torture, sexual violence, and forced deportations were reported. The atrocities sparked outrage. Governments, organizations, and individuals demanded accountability. The images from Bucha and other cities shocked the world. The brutality of the conflict escalated calls for accountability. The question of war crimes became central to the international community's response. Section 5. Naval Warfare and Strategic Shifts. The war was not confined to land. The Black Sea became a significant theatre of conflict. Russia's Black Sea Fleet, based in Crimea, played a crucial role. They blockaded Ukrainian ports. Missile attacks were launched. Russia attempted to control maritime routes. Ukraine countered these threats with innovation. The sinking of the Moskva was a major event. It happened in April 2022. Ukraine claimed responsibility. They said they used Neptune anti-ship missiles. The loss of the Moskva was a blow to Russia. The incident highlighted the high stakes of the conflict. Section 6. Ukrainian counteroffensives. In late 2022, Ukraine launched counteroffensives. They reclaimed territory. The counteroffensive showed the effectiveness of Ukrainian tactics. They also highlighted the impact of Western military aid. The momentum of the war shifted. A significant victory came in September 2022. Large areas of territory were liberated in the northeastern Kharkiv region. The speed of the advance surprised Russian forces. Weaknesses in their defenses were exposed. Another counteroffensive followed in the south. This led to the liberation of Kherson in November 2022. The successes boosted morale and signaled a potential shift in the war's trajectory. Section 7. Stalemate and continued fighting. Despite Ukrainian successes, the war reached a stalemate by early 2024. The front lines stabilized. Neither side could achieve a decisive breakthrough. The conflict became a war of attrition. Artillery duels, trench warfare, and heavy casualties were constant. The fight for the Donbas region continued in eastern Ukraine. Russian forces and separatists focused on capturing Bakhmut and Avdiivka. The fighting there was brutal. Casualties were high, widespread destruction occurred. The stalemate raised questions about the future. Some analysts predicted a protracted war of attrition. Others suggested the stalemate could lead to negotiations. The human cost continued to rise. Section 8. Global Impacts and Aid. The war's impact extended beyond Ukraine. Global supply chains were disrupted, food and energy prices rose, geopolitical tensions escalated, particularly between Russia and the West. Alliances and security arrangements were reshaped. International support for Ukraine was significant. Billions of dollars were provided in military, financial and humanitarian aid. The United States became the largest donor of military aid. European countries provided weapons, financial assistance and refuge for millions of refugees. Security architectures in Europe were reassessed. Finland and Sweden applied for NATO membership. NATO members increased defense spending. The conflict highlighted the interconnectedness of the modern world. Section 9. The Information War. Alongside the physical conflict, an information war raged. Both sides used propaganda and disinformation. They aimed to shape the narrative. Social media platforms became battlegrounds. Fact-checking and media literacy became crucial. Russia spread disinformation about the war. They aimed to discredit Ukraine and its allies. They portrayed the invasion as a special military operation. Ukraine and its partners countered with their own information campaigns. The information war highlighted the importance of media literacy. Discerning truth from falsehood became increasingly challenging. The battle for hearts and minds became as important as the battles fought on the ground. Section 10. Uncertain Future. As of August 28, 2024, the war in Ukraine continues. The situation remains volatile. The outcome is uncertain. Millions have been displaced. The human cost is immeasurable. The conflict has already reshaped the geopolitical landscape. It has unified the West against Russian aggression. The war's long-term consequences are yet to be fully understood. The search for peace remains elusive.